So this is an overview of all the things that we have to have in place from a business process preparation standpoint. Now you see the BPP, you're going to see that through about 10 slides here. That's a deanism. It's just, that's an easy way to remember. Keep in your mind, we're now talking business process. So these are the things that we're going to cover. What do we get out of this? From a business process standpoint, why do we do the forensics readiness? Who cares? Well, we want to be able to collect evidence in a credible way. When we collect that evidence, we don't want it thrown out in a court of law. So if we prepare beforehand in our business processes and those different pieces, we'll get there. Minimize the cost of forensics during an incident response. If you've got to go out and buy a disk duplicator and you don't know which disk duplicator to buy, and you go to the wrong company, you could be spending tens of thousands of dollars that you don't have to. And oh, by the way, you've got to get it rushed overnight from Japan, and it's going to cost an extra $1,000 because they're going to fly it on somebody's next flight out kind of thing. This could get very costly just in shipping alone. But if you've got all this stuff in place, those costs are probably going to be a little bit reduced. Okay, so how? Now this is great. Dr. Rawlinson actually came up with a 10-step process that I really, really like. So I give this to you here. Please look it up. Please look at what the man has to say. He is excellent at what he does. And this is a 10-step process, and this builds on itself. So unless you've got step 1, step 2 doesn't work very well, and so on and so on and so on. So think of it like a stair-stepping all the way to the success of your forensics project. So look at here. Step 1, define the business scenarios that require digital evidence. When are we going to need this? Go through that process with the business unit leaders and say, okay, this would be reasonable. Today, one of the hot topics that people talk about is intellectual property and e-discovery. So that's usually where it centers for organizations. Sometimes it's malware research and those kinds of things. Step 2, identify the available sources and different types of potential evidence. Where are you going to get this from? Are you cloud-based? And can you get the information from your infrastructure as a service providers of that raw backend? Let's say it's the VMware server itself. Can you draw the data from that, and will they give that to you? I mean, you've got to prepare for this because some places you can't get it, especially in the cloud. 3, determine the evidence collection requirement. At what level are we going to go to? Now, usually this is a pretty nice bright line, and the bright line is pretty simple. Are we going to court, yes or no? If somebody goes, well, maybe, then it has to be yes. It is yes or no. Because the evidence requirements in a court of law and the process that you build for a court of law are much more robust. You say, no, we want to do this as internally, and for the first couple of years that we do this, on this side of the line, we're going to do this internal, we're going to handle this, and we're going to see whether we can build a robust system. Now, that also respects business at that point.